What if the next time you pull up to a drive-through window for your favorite fries, the menu suddenly looks different? Prices higher, portions smaller, or in the worst case, the item temporarily unavailable. It may sound surprising, but a major development involving Canada's potato supply is creating serious concern inside the U.S. fast food industry. Potatoes might seem like one of the simplest foods on the planet, but behind those crispy fries and hash browns is a massive international supply chain that keeps restaurants running every single day. Now, a shift in Canada's potato supply strategy is raising alarms among American food companies that depend on those shipments. Industry insiders are asking a critical question. Could this move disrupt the steady flow of potatoes that fuels billions of dollars in fast food sales across the United States? And if it does, how quickly could it affect prices, menus, and consumers? Stay with this video until the end, because the full story behind the potato supply chain reveals just how fragile the fast food ecosystem can be, and why something as simple as a potato could suddenly become one of the most talked about ingredients in the food industry. To understand why this situation is getting so much attention, we first need to look at how important potatoes are to the fast food business. For many major chains, fries are not just a side item. They're one of the most profitable products on the entire menu. A single order of fries costs relatively little to produce, but generates strong margins for restaurants. That means a steady supply of potatoes is absolutely critical. Now imagine an animated explanation appearing on screen. A map highlights major potato-producing regions in North America. Large farming areas in Canada, particularly in provinces like Prince Edward Island and Manitoba, are shown shipping potatoes to processing plants and then into the United States, where they are cut, frozen, and distributed to fast food chains nationwide. This supply chain runs almost like a well-oiled machine. But when one piece of that machine changes, the ripple effects can travel quickly. Reports suggest that Canada's latest potato supply move could influence how potatoes are exported or allocated, and that has sparked concern among companies that depend heavily on cross-border shipments. Even a small disruption can create a major headache for restaurant supply managers. Let's look at a realistic case study to understand the impact. Imagine a regional fast food franchise owner named Lisa, who operates several restaurant locations in the Midwest. Her stores sell thousands of orders of fries every week. Normally, the frozen fries she orders arrive from a distributor that sources potatoes from both American and Canadian farms. But if supply tightens or prices suddenly rise, Lisa's distributor may increase costs or limit how much product each restaurant can purchase. That leaves Lisa facing tough decisions. Should she raise menu prices, reduce portion sizes, or absorb the higher costs and accept lower profits? Situations like this show why fast food companies monitor agricultural markets so closely. A supply shift in one country can affect restaurant menus thousands of miles away. Now imagine a short interview segment with a food supply expert. Industry analysts often explain that potatoes used for fast food are not just ordinary grocery store potatoes. They are specific varieties grown to meet strict size, texture, and starch requirements. These specialized potatoes are ideal for producing long, uniform fries that cook evenly and maintain the crispy texture customers expect. Because of these requirements, fast food chains cannot instantly switch to different potato sources. Growing the right varieties takes planning, contracts with farmers, and entire processing facilities designed around specific crops. Let's pause for a quick Q&A moment, because this is where viewers often start asking questions. One common question is, if Canada changes its potato supply strategy, why can't U.S. farms simply grow more potatoes? The answer is that agriculture doesn't move that quickly. Farmers decide what to plant months before harvest, and switching crops involves risks, equipment adjustments, and market uncertainty. Another question people often ask is, could this lead to higher prices for fries and other fast food items? The short answer is yes, it's possible. If supply costs increase for restaurants, those costs often get passed along through menu price adjustments. Now let's look at another example from the farming side of the story. Consider a Canadian potato farmer named Daniel, who grows potatoes specifically for processing companies that supply fast food chains. Daniel's operation depends on contracts with processors, and those processors depend on stable demand from restaurant companies. If supply policies change or trade conditions shift, everyone in that chain, from the farmer to the restaurant owner, feels the impact. This is where things become even more interesting when we compare food supply systems globally. In parts of Europe, including countries like Spain, agricultural systems often involve more diversified supply networks across multiple regions within the European Union. Analysts sometimes point out that these broader supply arrangements can help reduce reliance on any single country's production. However, even in Europe, disruptions in crop yields or export decisions can still send shockwaves through food industries. Now picture another animated chart on screen. It shows the journey of a potato from farm to fast food tray. The timeline begins with planting season, followed by harvesting, processing into frozen fries, transportation through distribution centers, and finally, delivery to restaurants. Every stage depends on smooth coordination. When one link in the chain changes, delays or shortages can occur. This situation also highlights how interconnected the North American food system really is. The United States and Canada have built decades of agricultural trade relationships. Potatoes, wheat, fertilizer, and many other products move across the border regularly to support both economies. But when policy decisions or supply adjustments enter the equation, even long-standing partnerships can experience tension. Now, imagine hearing directly from a supply chain manager in a brief interview segment. Many experts say their biggest concern isn't just supply shortages, it's uncertainty. Restaurants plan inventory months in advance, and sudden changes in agricultural supply can make forecasting extremely difficult. This uncertainty also influences the financial side of the fast food business. When investors hear about potential supply disruptions, they often watch restaurant companies closely to see whether profit margins could be affected. Let's look at another case study involving consumers. Picture a college student named Ryan who regularly grabs a burger and fries after class. If restaurant chains face higher potato costs, Ryan might notice subtle changes over time, maybe a small price increase, a slightly smaller portion, or a new menu promotion encouraging customers to try different sides. These changes might seem small individually, but when they happen across thousands of restaurants, they reveal how supply chain shifts quietly shape the food industry. At this point, many viewers are probably wondering what happens next. Will this situation lead to real shortages, or will the industry adapt before major disruptions occur? The answer will depend on several factors, including harvest yields, trade negotiations, and how quickly supply chains adjust. Now, I want to turn this conversation over to you. Have you noticed fast food prices rising in your area recently? And if supply issues like this continue, do you think restaurants should absorb the costs or pass them on to customers? Your thoughts and experiences can add an important perspective to this discussion. As analysts continue watching the situation, they'll be focusing on crop forecasts, export decisions, and how restaurant companies respond to any changes in supply conditions. If you've made it this far in the video, you're already seeing how something as simple as a potato can influence an entire industry. It's a reminder that global food systems are far more complex than they appear on the surface. So, if you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more updates about global food supply, economic trends, and the hidden stories behind everyday products. Because sometimes the biggest disruptions in the economy begin with the smallest ingredients, like the humble potato that powers the world's favorite fries.